welcome to the Paper Snob. This is Tara. Today I am just working on a layout. I'm going to be using Rust and Rev, which is a gorgeous mail collection from 49 Market. It's from their new designer, and I have pulled out a beautiful wood grain and some of the rub-ons. I have the epoxy coated stickers, and I have a bunch of scraps as well that I may dig into and use. Some of the laser die cuts here, and I have a stencil. The stencil came from AliExpress. Some of the frames, some other bits and pieces here, and a photo of my husband and his brother on Thanksgiving weekend in 2016. I also pulled in this alpha from HipKit, and it reminds me of the titles from Rust and Revs. If you look really closely, those letters are super similar, which I thought was quite fun. So I'm going to pause and we're going to get started with this layout. I will be right back. All right, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the branding strip off this beautiful blue wood grain that is in this collection. I mean, this is a gorgeous piece of paper. I will be using it for my background. I'm going to set my branding strip aside. I typically keep 49 Market branding strips until I'm done with a collection. And if I haven't used them by the time I have finished out the paper, then I trash them unless they can be used with other collections. So I am going to be using this stencil from AliExpress, and I'm using gathered twigs ink, oxide ink, to just put a few of these little gears on here. Now, it's not going to be perfect, and it's just going to kind of frame the left side of my photo, so I'm not going to do the whole page, and it's a very subtle inking, so it's just going to kind of give it just a little pop of those gears, kind of a shadow. And I am not trying to match up corners or anything like that. Like I said, it's just going to kind of frame that left-hand side of my photo and maybe a little bit of the bottom left as well. And once I get done with this, I'm just going to set it aside. I do wash my stencils after every use, even when it's just with ink, because I like to use a fresh, clean ink right from the start. So what I was trying to do there is I was trying to use my white linen spray, and I was going to spray right over that stenciling. As you saw, it didn't come out, so I'm going to use my trusty cuticle stick that I keep in my scrapbooking tool section of my turnaround. I have a little spinny thing up to my upper left of my desk space, and I use that to keep stuff in, tools, pencils, scissors, etc. And that's where that cuticle stick has a home. I'm going to take some of these scraps that I have, this piece of denim, and I'm going to scuff these edges. I had considered cutting into some other paper, but I have several pieces of scraps from previous layouts that I wanted to use as well. I'm going to just put some adhesive there, and I'm going to tack the photo down if I can get it to come off my fingers. My fingers are sticky with glue. Shame on me for not washing my hands beforehand. And now I'm going to just start scuffing up the edges of all the little bits and pieces that I'm using, and I'm inking them with what's left on my foam piece with the gathered twigs. Now, a lot of this stuff probably is nonsensical for you in this collection, but I like the masculinity of this collection quite a bit. And I think I mentioned before that this is the collection I purchased to do my husband's Jeep project. He rebuilt the engine in his Jeep last year, but it is such a gorgeous collection that it works with other things, and it's got some title pieces in it that will not work for the Jeep. And I bought a couple of other collections to mix and match. One of them is from Minté, and I think there might be a second one from Minté as well as one from P31 or P13. Which is it? I don't remember. Anyway, this little strip here is not from Rust and Revs. It is, I think, from Serenity, and it fell out of the collection when I was putting things away, and it's just kind of had a home here up on my desktop. It matches well enough, so I'm going to go ahead and use it as another layering bit underneath this photo. And right now I am building this layering piece underneath my photo without using my background, because I set my background off to dry a little bit. I had intended on putting the frame over the top of the photo, but they're not quite long enough, and I could have used the two that I pulled and make it work. You can cut into them and make it work, but I just decided to cut it in half-ish and scuff up those edges like I did the rest of my layering, and it's just going to end up underneath with my little layering bit too. So I am adding some adhesive here to the pieces that are already layered up so they don't move as I continue to build the layers underneath this photo. And I'm just tacking bits and pieces. I will add more glue off camera, but for now I'm just kind of tacking bits and pieces here just to get it going. These frames are really nice. I love all of the wood and the leather and the different pieces that are in this collection. It's just, for me, it's just an absolute fun collection. And this one piece came intact. I didn't quite put enough glue. That's okay. I'll fix it here. And then I'm going to go ahead and decide what other pieces that I'm going to use. I think I've given myself enough time for my background to dry, so I'm going to bring it back in here in a minute. I'm going to clear my space first. I know that I'm going to be using some of those rub-ons on the background as well, and the packaging on them says that you can layer them up. I believe it was Scrapbook who said that when you layer up the 49 on Market rub-ons, that the second layer is a little bit harder to put down, and I found that to be true as well. First, I'm going to pull out this beautiful rust-colored piece with it looks like rickrack, and but it's a piece of road, and then some other bits and pieces, got arrows and things. I'm just layering them on here with their backing so far as I decide which pieces I'm putting where. My goal is to just use a few of the pieces. I cut out this adventure piece. I actually end up not using that, I do believe, and it'll go back into the collection. I keep the collection in a baggie so it'll not fall out, but I'm just gonna pull out some more of these little pieces as I decide what I want to use. Like I said, I'm going to layer them up, but it's not going to be a perfect layering. I'm just adding more color to this background. And my layered up photo is just sitting there so that I know where to start using my rub-ons. Now, I prefer using my bone folder for rub-ons. I don't know if this particular set of rub-ons came with a popsicle stick. I know that several have. I just prefer the bone folder. It fits nicer in my hand, and it doesn't hurt my hand like a popsicle stick does. So here I am just beginning the process of layering them up, and where this one piece meets the rust piece, I did have to press a little bit harder and go back over it a couple of times to get it to come off. Thanks, Rana, for that warning. I wouldn't have been as careful as I was with them if I hadn't watched your video to see how this worked. And like I said, I'm just adding them as I go, just kind of putting more color here and there on it. I love this compass, and there's going to be two of these on here. My husband said it was fitting because in this photo of my husband and his brother, right behind them is Joe's helicopter. Joe is a pilot, and he was showing us his helicopter in the hangar where he kept it. I don't think he has this helicopter any longer, but at the time he did, and he was just showing it to us. We also got to take a ride in the helicopter, and my husband even got a chance to fly it with Joe's help, which was fun. And I've already done the layout for that probably a year or maybe 2 years ago. But anyway, this was just kind of a fun thing to do as we were visiting Joe in Texas for Thanksgiving. We had not celebrated Thanksgiving with Pat's brother. I don't know that we had ever celebrated Thanksgiving with Pat's brother. So what you saw me do there with this little piece here, I felt like adding this shelving piece with all these tanks of gasoline and oil or whatever is supposed to be in them was a good piece to use on this layout, because we are in a hangar. There were tools and things laying around, but I chose this piece because I don't think I'll be using it for my husband's Jeep photos, and even if I do decide to, I have a second pack of these die cuts. So I wasn't real sure on the title that I was going to use here. And like I said at the beginning of the video, these letters absolutely remind me of the font that is in this collection. Mostly it is the stripes in there, because several of the title pieces have striped letters, although the letters, especially the E, is more rounded than what is on this hip kit set of letters. But I just thought it was a great font to use, and that way I didn't have to use all of the title pieces that I was setting aside for other projects. So here's the second compass. I'm pulling it out, and I'm not going to scuff it up. I have this piece of a branding strip I'm going to tuck underneath that left side, and I'm going to scuff up another little piece here to add to the layout. I'm really enjoying layering up all of these bits and pieces. Off camera, I will go ahead and add, I think, a couple of more pieces. I do add the rest of the title. I think it's Big Boys and Their Toys or something like that. And I use some October Afternoon letters that are in an orange color that I thought worked very well for this collection. So I knew that I wanted to add a little bit more of these enamel pieces. And so off camera, I have finished gluing everything down. I added the rest of my title. And it says Big Boys and Their Toys, as I stated. And now I am adding a little bit of more color with these enamel pieces, bringing in that caution color, the black and the bright orange yellow in there. And I'm just adding a few of the little round pieces as well, just kind of finishing out some of the stuff. As you can see, I have covered the photo with a piece of white cardstock. And up in my upper right hand corner, I have my Prima metallic watercolor set. And I'm going to be using that beautiful blue that you can see, and then that coppery, rusty color that I've just dipped my brush in. I've put journaling on here with a couple of my Illustrated Faith journaling tags that I love to use. Those you can buy on their website. They are a digital download, and you get them as a PDF, and you can print them out and cut them as you use them. I chose this blue, and while you may be thinking it does not match, once it hits all of this color, all it does is just add a nice blue sparkle. All right, I got this layout completely finished. You saw everything I did on camera except for where I added the tile letters and this little epoxy sticker below it. The rest of everything that you saw, and you didn't see me add the journaling, but I really love this collection a lot more than I thought that I would, and I have enjoyed playing with it. This is, I think, my fourth layout with the collection. I originally purchased it because my husband actually rebuilt a Corvette engine and put in his Jeep over the last year, and I bought this collection as well as a Mente collection, and I think another collection that I was going to mix up and use for the rebuild on his Jeep. But because of that, I ended up buying a second set of this because when I picked it up at We Create in September, I dug into it right away and made a couple of layouts with it right there at We Create. And so because I had purchased it for a project, I went ahead and bought a second set of the papers and some of the embellishments as well. So I have quite a bit of it to play with still, and plenty of it to play with for my husband's engine. I have another layout that I want to do with this collection that it doesn't have anything to do with my husband's Jeep. I have some pictures of my 2 oldest sons when they were little, and I'm going to use the collection for those photos as well. I want to thank you for coming to my channel today. I really appreciate all of you who take the time to come here, watch my videos, leave me comments, and hit that like button. If you are new here and you have never watched a video, I would love to have you subscribe to my channel. Just click that button below. If you click the bell, YouTube will send you a notification either by email or a banner on your device. I'm not sure which. And they'll let you know when I put out new content. My goal is 2 to 3 videos per week. I took some time last week to just get my bearings together. I was gone the week before helping my sister with a medical procedure in Las Vegas. We did have a little bit of fun too, but most of that week was spent in and out of the surgical unit, and appointments, and even up till the day that we left Las Vegas, we spent a couple of hours in the clinic with her medical stuff. She's doing great and healing fine. We're both back home in our respective states. She lives in my home state of Missouri, and of course we are currently stationed at Fort Carson, Colorado, and enjoying our time here. But you know, when family needs you, you do what you can to help, and that is what I did. Anyway, I want to thank you again for being here. You guys have a great rest of your day and a great week. Bye.